Did you know that if you are going to hold those two buttons and rotate it simultaneously, you're going to... Hello and welcome to the second part of our series about multimeters. This video is made for beginners, however, since it is based on the articles written by Mr. Piotr Górecki, even experienced electronics enthusiasts might learn something new. In this video, we are going to focus on the other functions available on digital multimeters beyond resistance, current and voltage measurements, which we already covered in part 1. There's going to be a link in the video description, and I also encourage you to read the article, which you can after watching this video. Capacitance, inductance, temperature, transistor gain, frequency, diode tests. These and others are sometimes called additional functions. They exist to meet specific needs of engineers, whether you are in the field or in the lab. So, when you are about to pick a digital multimeter, ask yourself, do I really need to measure transistor gain, or should I invest more in accurate DC voltage measurements instead? Sometimes you don't have to choose, just check tme's offer, we've got a lot of them. At TME, you'll find thousands of products from trusted brands like Fluke, Brymen, Owon, and I cannot stress this enough, using original, reliable components really makes a difference. Take this diode from Diode, for example. This is how it arrived, it's ready to go, and I can drop it blindly into the circuit. But if something goes wrong, here's how you can test the diodes. Set the dial and test leads to diode mode. Connect the negative probe to the cathode and positive to the anode. That's the forward bias. A reading between 0.2 volts and 0.6 volts DC means it's good. Then reverse the probes. This is the reverse bias. If you get a 1 or overload, the diode is fine. It's blocking the current as it should. I used to struggle remembering which end is which, so I made a simple mental trick, let's call it. Think of grades. A positive, anode positive. C negative, cathode negative. It works for diodes, okay? Now let's take a look at what a bad diode looks like. Oh, and you can test LED diodes too, but not every digital multimeter will show their forward voltage. Measuring transistor current gain is not common in newer multimeters. It's more useful back when bipolar transistors were more popular. Nowadays, as Mr. Górecki points out, what we really need is MOSFET measurements. And hey, I actually think that we have a multimeter that can do this. Like this one, maybe you should have a review about it. Anyways, some digital multimeters have a socket for checking PNP and NPN bipolar transistors. Just set the dial, insert the transistor, and you'll get the value for current gain. However, it's measured at very low currents, so the real value of at higher loads might differ. Okay, let's move from something niche to something really useful. Capacitance measurements. Before you do anything, always discharge the capacitor. The safer way is to use a resistor. Some folks use a screwdriver, it works, but it is not recommended. Just try to use a resistor if you have one. Once it discharges, connect the probes to the terminals. If there is no polarity marking, it is a non-polarized capacitor. You can connect the leads in any direction you want. Mr. Górecki notes that some multimeters can have large errors in capacitance mode, but they are still helpful for identifying nominal values or checking if a capacitor is damaged and seeing if readings are repeatable. Honestly, I didn't think that multimeters could measure inductance, but some of them actually do. Inductors like capacitors stored energy in a magnetic field measured in henries. Just connect the inductor like you would a capacitor and voila, there is your value. That said, for better accuracy, use an RLC meter. It is built for this application. You know what else needs accurate measurements? Yeast. Those little guys peak around 38 centigrades, and I do not trust my oven. But I do trust my multimeter. Ever since I started using it, my cakes stopped looking like pizza and look more like a Mrs. Puff from SpongeBob. Now, to measure temperature, use a thermocouple. Most often those are going to be K-type thermocouple. Unplug the test probes and plug the thermocouple into the correct terminals. Temperature function is also useful for HVAC system diagnostics, monitoring transistors or integrated circuits temperatures, verifying other sensors temperatures readings, and some even check the temperature of the iron tips. The final two functions for today are frequency and duty cycle. Those are great when working with 555 timers, oscillators, microcontroller, clocks, PWM signals like in LED dimmers. They help you to understand and verify the signals that you're working with, but they cannot replace the oscilloscope because digital multimeters have lower bandwidth and they cannot show you waveforms unless you got something like this. But maybe this is for the next episode. Alright, see you later. By the way, did you know that if you are going to hold those two buttons and rotate it simultaneously, you're going to subscribe to our channel? No, you're not going. Nah. But you know where is the subscribe button? It's there. Press it.